Lee, there's been an incredible dust-up happening online and basically all over the place for the past couple days having to do with these HB1 visas. Thanks for joining me today. I think everybody wants to hear about this epic nationwide road trip that you've been on, but of course we're going to be getting into the main topic on our sponsor exclusive segment. How are you, Lee?
Very good, Jason. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I know we're going to be dealing with a little bit of hotel internet there for you. I've got everything pretty dialed in the car. I just want people to understand for a second, if they're seeing you for the first time in a while, or perhaps new viewers who haven't seen you before, Lee is a stroke survivor, and unfortunately, the Joe Biden idiot regime sanctioned his employer, and he lost his job, and he's been on a road trip cross country. Had to take the bus, unfortunately, because losing your job is obviously a terrible circumstance. So I want to make an appeal to Crowdsource the Truth viewers to sponsor Lee on patreon.com/Stranahan. Lee is a longtime guest of the show, a great friend of mine, and I really hope that people will sponsor him. Lee, what are we going to be talking about today?
Well, I'll be talking about H1B visas, stuff that no one's, because I've been talking about H1B visas for about 10 years. When I was at Breitbart, I report on them. And so I know a lot about the H1B visa thing. A lot of people are just getting into it for the first time. Look, during the election, did you hear H1B visas come up one time? Think about it.
No, I didn't,
Right.
but now they are. The thing that's also crazy, Lee, is that there was this huge battle happening in Twitter space with a whole lot of people getting into this subject. What specifically? Well, wait, before we get to the visas, do you want to tell everybody about your epic road trip?
Well, let's wait on that because I can work it in a more natural way, if that makes
Okay,
sense.
sure. I'm trying to
But
get these
but
pictures loaded here.
let me tell the end of the story. I'm now in Virginia. Right now, I'm in Charlottesville, Virginia. I went on I left Monday. I got here uh, Thursday, I think Thursday. So from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, a 60-hour bus trip.
That's
Uh,
crazy.
and that was coming out of the hospital. Monday morning, I was in the hospital in Sioux Falls. Monday evening, I was on the bus. And 4 days later, I was in Virginia. So I'm now back on the East Coast, ready to go to inauguration on January 20th, and ready to pick up my fantastic journalism here on the East Coast, because this is where the stuff is going to be happening, I think.
Absolutely. So you're moving back to Virginia. I'm just struggling here because in their incredible DEI genius, Apple has made the computer so easy for everybody to use that you just can't get files where you want them to be without, I don't know
Yeah.
what. It's such a massive, making me want to scream pain. But why don't you just tell us what it is? I mean, you've sent me these images. I guess we'll use those later, but I'm going to stop being distracted by that. And we're ready to go wherever you want to go with this conversation.
Yeah. So let's talk about, again, I've been covering immigration. I used to be, as you know, the lead investigative reporter at Breitbart News. And by the way, at Breitbart News, under my friend Andrew Breitbart, and then after Andrew left, Steve Bannon. So I've talked to Steve a lot about immigration. You know, Steve's all over the place now. Have you noticed that?
I
Steve's
have.
all over.
Yeah, he said that Elon Musk is a puppet of China, but isn't Steve Bannon kind of hanging out with that Miles Guac guy? It was a little bit pot calling the kettle black, wasn't it?
Yes, he's look. When I worked for Bannon, I made a mistake. I thought of him as an employer, my boss. Because he was right, but actually, I came to find out he's an employee, like a billionaire's. And the guy he worked for when I was at Breitbart was Robert Mercer. And Robert Mercer and his daughter, Rebecca Mercer, people can look them up. The Mercers were his sponsors, basically. And he did the uh, the bidding of the Mercers. Like, one example, remember Milo Yiannopoulos? Milo?
Absolutely. Of course. Can you hear me, Lee? I remember Milo, of course. Lee, you got me? I think
Yeah,
Lee's got it.
I couldn't hear you for a second.
Yeah,
You
Milo, I
remember
remember.
Milo, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Well, the one who works at Breitbart is really loved Milo because he was cute and charming in his own way. So that's why Milo given a free reign at Breitbart because of Rebecca Mercer.
Hmm.
Now, I never met the Mercers, and I didn't even know. Look, I'll put it like in a company like that, you don't actually know who you're working for. Like, do I think Sean Hannity or Dan Bongino know about Fox and Gene Energy? I'll use that as an example. I think they know about that,
Uh, they might.
but but also I'll put it like this: do you think they would want to know about it? Think about
Exactly.
that.
It's the type
Like
of thing
if you
you
get
want to
them,
look the other
if you're
way.
putting out right, and so it, it's also in a sense you know what you do, right? And so the who's paying the bill doesn't seem to make sense, but I think it does actually make sense. So the guy Miles Kwok, the uh, KWOK is the way I find the spelling. He's got a few names. Bannon works for him. When Bannon served with his uh, uh, arrest warrant, it was on the yacht of Miles Kwok. Now, Jason, I don't know about you, but you spend a lot of time on the yacht of a billionaire,
No, I would like to be on a yacht, but unfortunately, I just don't know anybody who has one.
right? Well, Steve knows some people who have one. Steve, former Goldman Sachs guy. Again, I find a lot of people actually look. I know Bannon real well, and I'm the first to admit Steve Bannon talks a good game. If I didn't know him well, I just heard his speeches, I would go, well, that guy's a tough ass because a hardcore MAGA person, right?
Absolutely.
He talks a good game, but I know the contradictions because I know who he works for and I know what he tells me privately. So my point is, I was covering the H1B visas 10 years ago at Breitbart, and he was standing right next to me. I remember he was a foot from me when I asked a question at the CPAC. At CPAC, at the conservative convention, uh, Breitbart sponsored a room, and they had Jeff Sessions speak before Trump was elected. So you get this picture: Senator Jeff Sessions speaking on immigration. Now on
Hmm.
immigration, Sessions was great. I mean, uh, he was a real stalwart, calling out the BS on immigration. Do you know who was his chief aide at the time? Do
No,
you remember this?
I don't.
Stephen
Stephen Miller, really?
and
Wow.
Stephen Miller. Oh yeah, that's why I talked to Stephen Miller a bunch of times. I would call Sessions' office, and they'd say, "Hang on, we'll get Steve." Steve was the immigration guy. He was Sessions' immigration brain,
Huh.
and he really knew his stuff. So again, a lot of people forget this stuff or never knew it. But
Yeah.
you can anyone can confirm this. I'm not making this up. Everything I'm saying, absolute fact, and often knowledge. So I was standing.
Well, we're losing you there on the internet, Lee. Can you hear me? Lee is a bit frozen. Hey, Lee, can you hear me? There you go. You're back. So Stephen Miller, he was working
Yeah,
with Jeff Sessions. Hmm. The hotel internet is kind of not working so hot.
and so
So, wait,
I
hang
was
on. Wait. You got to back it up a little bit here. We lost you when you were talking about Stephen Miller. Let's let the internet catch up to you for a second. Have you got me?
yeah, I was just saying that or when because I was
Oh boy, Lee, this is not working so well. We
a
can't hear
great
you at
trade
all. Hang on.
issue of
Hang on.
mine. So
We
I
can't hear
covered
you. we lost all that. Oh my God! If I could get one show working this week, it would be a miracle.
Okay.
On 34th Street. Are you back now? I think the internet might be back. We lost you around Stephen Miller.
Yes, I was saying he's a very smart guy, very competent, and he really knows immigration because I was dealing with him a lot as a writer. So at this CPAC conference, I asked Session a question about H-1B visas. See, there's kind of like three issues, let's call it four, about immigration. One of them that everyone knows about, people coming illegally across the border, right? That's
Right.
issue one.
Yeah.
Okay. Issue two is people coming legally across the border, but they're not legal exactly. Here's what I mean. They're coming asylum. So they know if they go to the border and say, I'm seeking asylum, I'm a refugee, the U.S. has to let them in. Now, they're lying, right? But again, but the assumption is they're not lying.
Right.
And so, but I believe a lot of them are lying because they know they can get in legally. So that makes sense. That's issue two of
Loophole.
immigration.
Sort of
Issue
taking
one is
advantage.
just right. An issue. Everyone thinks about people streaming across the border illegally. That's true. That's a real thing, but it's a dumb way to do it because the smart way to do it is to walk up to the border and say refugee, and then you get in legally. And see, then they say, okay, you can wait for your hearing. You get a hearing on them, and those take years to happen. And
Right.
so then people come in. Where do they wait? In your town.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just, I think, a way. Running across the border illegally is dangerous.
Yeah.
That's the second way, smart. That's the third issue is H-1B visas. We'll come back to that. The fourth issue is EB-5 visas. We won't talk about that today, but you know about EB-5, right?
I got to tell you something, Lee. I'm not really it's stupid. I've been married to two foreign nationals, and one of them had an O1. You met Tatiana. She had one of those O1 visas because she was like a whole professional acrobat and everything. But I don't know that much about the legality of all this stuff. I will just quickly add, Bob Bishop is with us in the comments, and he's letting me know that another issue is H1Bs and B1s. They're offshoring millions of jobs. Many of them are high-paying jobs.
That's true, but we'll come back to that because I got a lot to say about that. But the EB-5 visas are, if you invest, like I forget the number, like $1 million, you would get a visa for you and your family. So Chinese billionaires were using this to basically buy visas. Make sense? That was EB-5.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
So I know a lot of it, but listen side. H-1B visas, the first thing, again, it's weird for me. I was on a train for days, not following the news, just on a bus, I mean. I was on the bus, not following news, just trying to sleep. Trying to sleep on a bus for 60 hours.
I haven't tried it, but it doesn't seem like fun.
Right. It's not me. So I kind of was out of the news cycle. When I came back, everyone's talking about H1Bs, and I'm hearing a lot of. So let me just tell people straight. The one thing that needed to know about it is the EB-5, H1B visa issue is a real issue, and a lot of people sort of know about part of it. But let me ask you to look at it not from your perspective as an America First MAGA person. Like, let's not talk about think about H1B visas for a second. Let's talk about how H1B visas work out for people who get them, like the people, the Indian engineers or the Chinese engineers, whatever. Okay, because I think you'll see why this is important, Jason.
Okay.
So you see the thing I'm setting up. I'm trying to get people to think about like the position of a person who's come from India on an H-1B visa. Do you think it's great for them?
Well, no, because they are generally. I've heard a lot of the little bit that I know about it. I've learned just over the past few days. People are saying that sometimes employers are taking advantage of these people because they're often highly skilled, but they're sort of like shackled to whoever gives them this visa and sponsors them. See, that was the problem. I mean, I don't mean to get too personally, but this was a little bit of a problem in my marriages in that I vowed to never marry another foreign person again because it creates this dependence on the visa sponsor that is not good for a marriage, I don't think.
Right, right. And the sponsors in this case with H1Bs are the companies. Okay. So if you come over here to work for, let's say, Microsoft, okay,
Yeah,
as an Indian, you can't leave Microsoft. Like if you
right,
try to quit, let's say you come over a programmer for Microsoft, right? Apple,
right,
they say that's reasonably good because you lose your immigration
right,
status
exactly.
into that company. You
Yeah,
see,
yeah, same
to
problem. Same problem with the
what
wife is
significant?
that same problem with being married to somebody who you're the sponsor for a visa for because they might be pissed off at you, but they feel like they have to be nice to you because otherwise they lose the visa status. And I actually broke up with a girl from Canada over this issue. Lee?
And the all fact
Hmm.
we're later. So the H1B visas are not a great deal for the people. Again, not good for Americans. I agree. I know that, but I'm saying the thing is they're not good for anybody, and but
Hmm.
except the employers. And why? If you're an
Wow.
employer, if you control your employees, you want your employees leaving, right?
Right. Lee, we're having such a problem with your internet. Is there maybe a way that during the sponsor exclusive segment, would there be stronger internet
Right.
in your hotel lobby or something possibly? Because we're losing you there.
Let me try a different internet connection.
Well,
Buzzer.
I
Yeah.
don't want to do it right now because we've got just a few minutes here before we make our way over to patreon.com/Stranahan. And also people are going to be able to watch us on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth and crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com. But we'll try to improve your connection in between the break. So I'm getting a better picture of what you're trying to share with us here, that this is really kind of taking advantage of these skilled foreign workers and taking jobs away from Americans. There's kind of a lot of reasons to not be just completely on board with this. The thing that's most interesting, I think, to most people is that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy have created this whole big deal about it where it seems like if you're not on board with it, they're super pissed off at you, and people have been getting, I don't know, banned and censored on X and everything. What do you think of that?
Well, I've not been following that closely, but I've seen. Let me say this: the one reason to be against H1B visas is why I said. One reason not to, one not to be against H1B visas is those fucking Indians. Fucking Indians take our stuff with a curry. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, don't
That's the
say that
reason
though. You're
not to
going to
be
get us
against it.
kicked off of YouTube.
If you're
Don't say
against,
that. You're joking.
but
I get it. You're being
I
hyperbolic.
was trying to be so, or it's
Yeah, but with the bad
right.
internet
But
and the
if
censorship,
you're
it's
a
not
racist,
good.
I don't want to hear from you. I'm just,
Hang on. We're losing all the part where you're giving the payoff to that joke, and we got
and I'm
all the
seeing.
part with the joke racist stuff. So let's just reiterate that you were kidding. You're making fun of people who are saying that they don't like Indians, right? Right?
But you know my point. I'm seeing a lot of internet stuff out there. So reasons to be against H1B visas, there are many, but the reason not to is because you're racist. So
Right.
to me, it's like I speak seriously.
Okay, let's do this, Lee, because this internet connection is really not working at all. Let's take a
Makes
break
sense?
right here. We barely heard what you said there. So, what I think we should do is let's take a break. We'll get you resituated somewhere with some other kind of better internet connection, and then we're going to carry on the rest of this conversation on patreon.com/Stranahan, odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com, and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I promise everyone at some point during this trip there will be a solid show that will not have technical problems, whether it's coming from this end or the other. But Lee, we'll be back in just a few minutes, and thanks for tuning in, everybody. We're going to be talking more about this really nuanced problem with the HB1 visas. Thanks for watching.